I'd like to welcome you to the April meeting. 1 minute. Good. Take two. Good morning.
Morning.
I'd like to welcome you to the April meeting of the LCTCS Board of Supervisors. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that the board meeting is being live streamed. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chair Hardy.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. This time I'd like to call the April 9th, 2025 LCTCS Board of Supervisors meeting to order. At this time, I will ask Supervisor Ardoin to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask Ms. Poole, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. I would be happy to. Chair Hardy
Present.
is present. Supervisor Smith
Here.
is present. Supervisor Toops
Present.
is present. Supervisor Burke is absent. Supervisor Butler McIntyre is absent. Supervisor Hall is present. Supervisor Hogan is present. Supervisor Hollins
Present.
is present. Supervisor Johnson is present. Supervisor Lee is present. Supervisor McConduit is absent. Supervisor Moody
Present.
is present. Supervisor Mount is absent. Supervisor Price is absent. Supervisor Salath
Here.
is present. Supervisor Ardoin is present. Supervisor Eli
Present.
is present. Chair Hardy, at this time, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I ask Ms. Poole, has there been any request for public comment related to one of the enumerated agenda items on today's meeting agenda? This is a reminder that the public comment must be related to a specific agenda item.
No, sir, we have not had any.
Thank you. This time I request a motion to approve the April 9th, 2025 meeting agenda.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Hogan, seconded by Supervisor Ardoin.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Is there opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. This time I request a motion to approve the February 5th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Eli.
Been motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion? Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. This time I present the consent agenda items for consideration by the board.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, recommendation reads, staff recommends that the board approve the consent agenda, which consists of items G1 through G10.
Is there a motion?
Motion by Supervisor Hogan, seconded by Supervisor Ardoin.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. At this time, I'd like to provide the following report. First is we'd like to recognize our 2024-2025 student board members as their term ends on May 31st. Supervisors Ardoin and Eli have been very active members of the board for this year's term and have represented this board and our system very well while also serving as leaders of their respective colleges. And I just have to add that this is always a sort of bittersweet time for all the people on the board because we are honored to see you move on, but we will miss you because you have been such a part of this board and your service has been absolutely wonderful. I will tell you that Supervisor Eli is bending me to push me to change some rules. I don't know what I can do about that, but you'll have time to say some things a little bit later. In fact, now, if you'd like to address the board, Supervisor Ardoin.
I would just like to say thank y'all so much for welcoming me onto the board and treating me like a part of y'all's family. I have learned so much in this short time, but it's also very sad at the same time to leave y'all. So thank y'all.
Supervisor Eli.
I'm more or less trying to get 2 seats added to the board currently, so that way we don't have to leave just yet. It's still in the works. Hopefully by the end of the day, we can make that happen. But I just want to thank everybody for allowing us to serve. Honestly, it's been a great opportunity. the one-on-one conversations that we do have with each other and truly just getting to know each other. So hopefully I can, y'all be seeing me soon if I have anything to say, to do with it. So thank everybody, all the chancellors, pretty much thank the system. Y'all be seeing me around. I believe my community college, has a job for me. So, we'll see how it plays out. Thank y'all.
Good. Yes. We'd like to present plaques at this time and maybe take a photo or two. Um,
And the musical chairs there, Mr. Chair. How about that?
Yeah. It worked out.
It did.
Chair Hardy, I would like to note for the record at this moment that Supervisor Mount is here.
Great.
Good morning.
Good morning. A couple of two other items I'd like to add to my report. And please understand this is hard work, but as you know, I serve on the ACCT board, which is the national board. Many of you know that, maybe not everyone. And I was summoned to a GLI Institute meeting. It was in a place where the other folks in that area have complained for years that it takes them too long to get to the meetings here. Those folks were in Guam and Philippines and stuff. So we met them halfway in Honolulu. So it was tough work, but I look
I know.
anything. Look, I will sacrifice. So we had a meeting in Honolulu, and I will tell you, other than dealing with coconuts and pineapples, it was an outstanding meeting. Every time I think I understand a lot about the way we function, the way we work, I find out that I don't know as much as I think I know. So we had discussions on a number of items, everything from governance to self-evaluation, a whole nother deal in Robert's Rules, which I thought I'd been knowing for years, but I picked up some things there. Commitment, ethics, challenges on boards. What I was always enthusiastic to hear is we don't have the problems that I hear a lot of other people have had around boards with individual board members and legal challenges. So we should be very, very proud of what we've been able to do here in Louisiana. But as I said, when you're sitting around the table with people from the Pacific Islands, from all over the United States, and we enjoy telling them about our successes, I think we continue to be a beacon and a shining light to community and technical colleges all over the world. So I was just very, very proud to be there representing us. I also have an announcement to make that I'm just totally pumped about, and that is we have our own. This is Supervisor Sabrina Hogan that will become our representatives on the southern region for ACCT. In that role, Sabrina Hogan will have the opportunity to be the interface. So you'll know the ACCT is divided into 5 regions. The southern region, where Louisiana sits, is 11 states. And because we're in this region, we share a little bit more in common than we might in, say, the Pacific states or the northeastern states. So Supervisor Hogan will have the opportunity to talk about our successes and also learn. And we have a person who is the chair of the region, Dr. Yvonne Barnes, that will report back to the national. And I just think this is a wonderful opportunity. I will tell you, ACCT is excited, Supervisor Hogan, to have you play that role. So thank you so much. It will be some work, but it's always a chance for us to learn. We can learn from the mistakes of others, challenges of others, and we also can share in our successes. Real excited about that. And that's about the end of my report. I just want to say that, we have some folks that will be in town shortly, so tighten up. We have a legislative session starting, so get ready. Dr. Sullivan?
Yes, sir. Very, very, very well done. Appreciate it. And congratulations again to Supervisor Hogan. Look forward to your leadership with ACCT. I'd like to ask if I can, well, let me start here. Each year we hold our Skills USA competition. And this year that competition was held in New Orleans, the largest Skills USA competition that we've had in Louisiana's history. Folks, if you know the history of Skills USA, we've been up, we've been down, we're up again. And when I say we're up again, what we're saying is we have one of the fastest growing sets of chapters in the country. We have huge numbers of students, 129 who medaled with 52 gold medals, 48 silvers. These are folks who are headed to the national competition. They will have a chance to stand side by side and demonstrate their skills as compared to their colleagues. And when you think of that, when you see those students side by side competing against students from all over the country, to see the pride that they have in the work that they've done and the skill that they've achieved, it is something to behold. Excited to have those students moving forward. We look forward to the competition in June, I believe. And help me, where's the competition this year, the national? Atlanta, again. Okay, very good. So look forward to having those students travel and demonstrate those skills at a national level again. We'll bring those national winners to you and give you an opportunity to meet them and to hear some of the stories of the great successes that they're having. The next item I have for you is one that is an exciting one because, frankly, when you are in a profession and you compete for the profession's award, that award that is what we have sometimes referred to as the Heisman Trophy of community and technical colleges. Over the years, I have participated as a part of 3 teams that were finalists for the Bellwether Award. We've had a number of folks in this room who have been a part of that Bellwether Award process, but we just haven't quite won until this year. And in this year, we had a winner at Fletcher Technical Community College. I'd like to ask Chancellor Strickland to come forward. So I'm wondering where's all the medal this morning, right? Where's the trophy? I know this group knows trophies, right? Yes.
What? Oh, press to
There we go.
talk.
That's better.
Instructions, and I won an award. So obviously not for following instructions, but Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board, we are thrilled at Fletcher Technical Community College to bring back the Bellwether Award for innovations in community college programming. For those of you who maybe are familiar with the Bellwether Award, it is a competition, national competition that takes place in San Antonio. It is 3 to it. The first is a digital binder. So individuals or colleges are invited to apply. You make application and they select finalists in 3 categories, 10 finalists in each. This year there were 88 submissions and we were recognized as a top 10 finalist. In that process, you submit a digital binder that explains to the judges your innovative program that you're submitting. For us, it was our strategic scorecard, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But after the binder, you travel over to San Antonio to the Alamo College District, and you have an opportunity to present to anonymous judges. So you're being judged the whole time you're there. You just don't know who those individuals are. A little intimidating, but exciting nonetheless. So there is a table display where you have to be able to succinctly and briefly talk about what your innovative program is to judges and others. And then you have a full presentation. And at the end of that the scores are tallied and the winners are announced. And so, again, extraordinarily proud of our team at Fletcher. They worked very, very hard on this presentation and pulling everything together to put our best foot forward during the competition. So our submission, our innovation was our strategic planning scorecard. And many of you maybe have seen it. It's the red, green, yellow scorecard that we use. It is the way that we monitor how well we are doing with meeting our goals and serving our community. And I believe that you have the digital binder and the scorecard at your places today. But I think beyond the scorecard and our continual tracking and our continual monitoring of our progress in achieving our strategic plan, what the judges really recognized was how we have implemented processes within the college that enables that to happen. And so what that really looks like is it starts quarterly. It starts with that overarching plan for the year. We take that plan and our leadership team then determines what are the strategies we need to deploy in order to ensure that we're going to hit our yearly goals. And we set up strategies. And then each of our vice chancellors, all the way down through our organization, then goes back to their own units and has their team members set goals. And so at the end of the day, we have goal setting and strategy setting aligned with people's daily jobs that happens each quarter. The importance of that is that it enables us to not get to an end of the year and say what went right and what went wrong. It allows us to pivot, make changes, make improvements in real time as we go. So if we get to the end of the first quarter and we're off the mark on where we need to be in achieving our goals, we stop, we pause, we say, what are the hurdles? And then we adapt and we change. In fact, our institution does even down to daily. So when enrollment and registration periods are open, our academic team and our enrollment team huddles for 15 minutes every single morning. And what they recap is the activity of registration from the day before and whether or not students encountered any hurdles or challenges to enrolling. We have been able to solve problems with removing holds from students or populations of students, or maybe we need to add an additional class section, something filled up the day before, where we can do that immediately as opposed to waiting and getting down the road a piece and then missing our overarching goal because we just didn't take the time in the moment to remove a hurdle for a student or to remove a barrier to enrollment. But at my leadership team level, we meet weekly. We do 30-minute intervals. And again, it's check-ins. And what it enables me to do, as well as the leader of the organization, is to be able to determine where my team is encountering hurdles so that I can help clear. And so we do this on a regular basis. We operate in 90-day sprints. But I think the proof for me is really in the pudding. So since we have implemented these processes, we've seen a 51% growth in our enrollment. We have achieved highest retention percentages. We're at 70% retention. Our financial health has grown, certainly. For the first time in our institution's history, we've crossed over 50,000 student credit hours on the credit hour side. And this year is the first year we've crossed over $1 million in non-credit revenues. So all of these things I relate back to keeping your eye on the ball. We had a football theme. So I have a lot of football little slogans going on here, but it's keeping our eye on the ball, making sure that we are clearing the path for students and for our team to be successful and to meet our goals. And so, you know, again, I just want to thank all of you for your continued support of our participation in this and for our efforts in leading in our communities. And we couldn't do it without a strong supportive board such as yourselves. And I really do want to say thank you for that. Also, Chair Hardy, you mentioned ACCT. So as a winner of the Bellwether, we have been asked to present our program at ACCT this fall in New Orleans. So hopefully we will see you all there. And I would like to just take a moment to also recognize Chancellor Littleton Staub. I know her group is in the audience. Delgado was recognized as a top 10 finalist this year as well for their radiologic technology program. And so just want to make sure that they get some kudos as well. So thank you all. And I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
You should just
Yeah,
go to-
just a comment. First of all, congratulations. This is quite an accomplishment. And I would just say it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. This is truly a best practice. And so it's good to see one of our own doing this, and you should publish as well. So congratulations.
Chancellor, one of the things that, if there are no further questions or comments, one of the things that also happened over this past month was Fletcher was able to open up year-round scheduling. I want you to talk for a minute about what that means for students.
So the year-round scheduling provides students with an opportunity to do just that, so they can plan out their full year of courses, enabling them to make arrangements in advance for things like childcare and work schedules. I want to say kudos to my team again. It was a pretty tall hurdle to go out and forecast what courses we would need, the order in which, right, the course strategy of the order of which we need to offer courses to ensure students can continue to do enrollment, and then just working through our computer systems and all of our registration processes. But effective about, probably about 3 weeks ago, I guess it's been now, students can go in, they can register for this summer, next fall, and spring of 26, all at a one time. It also gives them the opportunity to better forecast financial picture, right? Tuition and fees, financial aid packaging, all of those things. And certainly for our students, having some idea of what the future holds and being able to take that next step in advance, I think is going to be really impactful in helping students get across the finish line to whatever the degree or credential they're trying to achieve, but also just gives them more stability in their own lives in terms of planning for their future academically.
Chancellor, thank you to you and your team for all the great
Yeah.
work. Very much appreciated.
Yeah.
One more question? Yes, sir.
I think that bears worth reemphasizing. Well, first off, congratulations, obviously, Chancellor. That's a great
Thank you.
award for the school and for the team. But I think what you just covered to me is extremely interesting. So you got a student can enroll and schedule classes for a year to year and a half in advance, so they can see the complete picture of how they're getting to the end of this journey, right? Which is usually of course, it's semester based or even 8-week based, but you're waiting. So that's a really good thing because someone can visualize the end, right, to get to accomplish the goal, whatever the goal is for that particular student. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, and we're very excited about it. And when you think about it, many of our programs, many of our, especially technical diplomas, are in fact 3 semesters. And so a student can register for the entirety of their program at one time.
If I can just build on that, sorry. For the record, I'm here.
For the record, Supervisor McConduit is present, Chair Hardy.
I would also say it gives you strong predictability from a staffing and a budgeting perspective. It's wonderful
Yes.
that it adds that, outlook, that forecast for the student, but from a leadership perspective and an administrative perspective, I feel like that is also a really strong practice. First of all, yes, congratulations, but I
Thank you.
love all of the thoughtful innovations and the multiplicative impact that something like that kind of strategy could have for the students, but also for the college.
Yeah, and that is a great point. It does. It allows us to more accurately predict faculty needs and staffing needs year-round, for sure.
Without a doubt. And we'll be talking more about the revenue side of that as a part of our board development. So thank you very much, Chancellor.
Thank you all
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
You think that one was big? Wait till you see the next one, okay? So Monday, a couple of weeks ago, we had a phone call. I believe the phone call may have come in on about Friday that said, be in Gonzales on Monday, but we're not going to tell you where. Just be in Gonzales on Monday. And as we showed up to the PACE Center on Monday, we had an opportunity to participate in a live stream announcement of the Hyundai deal here in Louisiana. Really interesting that scenario played out with both an announcement at the Oval Office while at the same time making an announcement at the PACE Center. Now, I want to begin our comments today with, yes, it's a huge win for us, and Chancellor Taylor has certainly grabbed the bull by the horns and run, but let's be real clear. This will require the work of multiple colleges in order to get this work done. The number of positions are broad and the number of curricular areas are broad. And so it will require us working very much closely together. I know that Chancellor Taylor has already begun that communication with his Chancellor colleagues to make sure that we are out there hitting that number as our friends at Hyundai need those numbers and need the workforce in order to ensure success in this project. Chancellor Taylor, you have led with your feet on this one. And when I say led with your feet, you've been there at the table every single step of the way. Very proud of how you've represented your college, but also this system in many of these discussions. So with that, I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk more in detail about the work of what we referred to as Project WGS for many, many months. Now we can talk openly about Hyundai Steel. Chancellor?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan, Chair Hardy, members of the board. Before I do that, I do want to give a shout out real quick to Dr. Strickland and Dr. Steib for the bellwether. You talked about it, Dr. Sullivan. We went down that path and it was very daunting. And so congratulations for that award. Very well deserved. And then also about Skills USA. So I've been at RPCC now. June 1st will make 3 years in total, 2.5 as the interim and 2.5 as the full time and 6 months as the interim. And I've been working like heck to try to get students in Skills USA. And this was our first year. We only had 3, but I was so proud of those young men because they represented and did their absolute best. And Dr. Steib, you guys were tremendous hosts. So thank you for that. But we will place next year.
There you
I
go.
promise you. So yeah, Dr. Sullivan, you're right. This opportunity came before us, at least for me, back in January of last year, was the first time that I had an opportunity to sit at the table with the folks from Hyundai Steel. And it was a very interesting dynamic, as you can probably imagine. There were some cultural differences and clearly some language barriers, but they came and they spent an entire day on our campus. And I had an opportunity to present to them what my vision for the institution was and what my vision for our process technology, instrumentation, and electrical and our energy sciences division was. And little did I know, it was aligning perfectly with what it is that they were attempting to do when they decided to think about relocating their first low carbon steel manufacturing plant in the United States. And so what I will say is this, while, excuse me, I've came before this board, and just for context, you've seen this slide before, and this is our epic work, Energy Partners for Innovation and Collaboration. And it is all about the energy transition. And so I'm grateful that having the fortitude to think about what we needed for our energy sciences division and how it has aligned so perfectly with industry that's coming to our area, because believe me, folks, there are more massive announcements coming down the pipe. And so I just wanted to give context, right? And so now we're going to be able to add the Hyundai Steel logo to this framework about being our partners in this consortia. And those are the 3 work streams. And then we talked about, this slide should look familiar as well, right? We talked about what is our competitive advantage. And at the time, I couldn't talk, but you see those yellow dots or yellow squares with Donaldsonville in the middle? I couldn't talk about it at the time, but that is the megaplex where the Hyundai Steel facility will go. That is also the same site where CF Industry announced a $4 billion blue ammonia announcement yesterday will go. That is also the site where no less than 7 to 10 other massive announcements or projects will go over the next 12 to 24 months. So my point is, we have one hell of a competitive advantage, especially when we begin to talk their language around clean energy, right? So what is the opportunity for us? It is a $5.5 billion low carbon steel facility, 4,500 indirect jobs, construction jobs, and then 1,452, to be exact, permanent full-time jobs of an average salary of $95,000 a year. Can anybody guess what the average salary today is in Donaldsonville, Louisiana? It ain't 95, not 25. $17,220 is the average salary in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Think about the generational opportunity that we have here, right? And so out of this, RPCC will be the managers of a $30 million training facility. I think I got word today, Toby, $32 million now, training facility. And so in every conversation I've had, they talk about their pathway to green steel and how they strive to become a steel maker capable of sustainable growth by committing to carbon neutrality, right? And so it's interesting because I have an opportunity to go and speak at churches and a lot of community grassroots conversations. And there are a lot of folks who don't think this is good. I'll just be perfectly honest with you. But my job is to make sure that we provide the access and the opportunity for people to train in these jobs. Excuse me, y'all. And so in those conversations that I've been having lately, it's been very simple. It said, Pastor, I can't change your mind. And I don't want to minimize what has happened in some of these communities because they happened. Was this the reason? I don't know. I'm not an expert, won't go down that path. But the point is, we've complained for generations that local folks do not have the opportunity to get these really good paying jobs. And what I will say to you today, Pastor, is we now have an opportunity. I've sat with the table for these folks for more than a year, and they're committed to hiring local. But here's the deal. If the locals don't have the skills, they're not getting the job. So we'll find ourselves looking again when the trucks, when I first moved here, Joe Mayor would say it all the time. The trucks leaving out of the parking lots have Texas, Florida, Mississippi, Arkansas, and no Louisiana plates. So the question then becomes, what are we going to do as a community? What are we going to do as pastors and teachers and school bus drivers and all the people, right? What are we going to do to make sure that local people get trained? So what it looks like is, and this is a difficult to read slide, but we're looking at 1,452 total jobs, as I said before. The yellow is where we come in, 1,068 jobs that they categorize as operator or technician, and only 384 engineering and/or professional jobs. What's the model? I mean, the ratio, Doc, right?
127, right? There you are.
That is the 127 in real time. So what it looks like is the ramp up for us, thankfully, is we have some time, but not really. The ramp up for us is going to happen in the first quarter of 2028 is when we have to go from 44 and 27 up to 337 in quarter one, 250 in quarter two, 16 and 7 in quarter four, and then you see the rest going to the right. What does this look like from a regional training plan? And so I've already engaged our colleagues, South Louisiana Community College. I don't want to butcher it, Chancellor June. Baton Rouge Community College, North Shore Technical Community College, Delgado Community College, and Fletcher, where the programs we know today that they, being Hyundai, still have said, we need associate degree trained people, process technology, welding, machining, instrumentation and electrical, industrial maintenance. And machining and industrial maintenance are the same, so disregard. We know that RPCC doesn't have the capacity today to train the number of people that I've just shown on the prior slide. And so we're getting together to talk about a training plan to figure out what piece of this work do our sister institution have to help us get there. We've had one meeting, we've got some more meetings coming up soon. I will meet today, actually. Well, we're having dinner tonight with the folks from Hyundai Steel, and then tomorrow all day to meet with their HR and training folks. They'll be on campus all day tomorrow to talk about these programs, but then what is their intellectual property? Because there is some very specific training that has to happen that we don't know what it looks like, nor do we have the capability today to do it. So that work begins in earnest. This is the training center. Again, $32 million, 65,000 square feet on 12 acres. I want to talk about that 12 acres for a second. We only need about an acre and a half, 2 acres to build this facility. But as I think about the growth that's going to happen in Donaldsonville, and as I think about leaving this institution in a place for whoever the next chancellor is, they have the opportunity to grow as the region and the area grows. It's going to be state-of-the-art multi-purpose, steel fabrication, process control labs, manufacturing materials, and science lab with an emphasis on energy management and smart building technologies. This is an aerial view, and this is what they call back of town. And back of town is one of the more depressed, well, most of Donaldsonville is depressed, but this is probably the most depressed area. And so that red rectangle is the 12 acres. The 2 blue boxes to the left of that, and this is why this site was selected, is where Prevost Hospital sits today. In 7 years, there will be a $290 million brand new Prevost Hospital that will be built right on that property next to where we're currently in purchase agreement and due diligence. And so the thought is, for me, long-term, it's about more than just Hyundai Steel. It's also about being able to provide healthcare training programs for that community in collaboration with the Prevost Hospital. And we envision together a campus with a lot of green space and, I don't know what you call, but alignment, cross-functionality, for lack of better words. So really excited about that. And then this is the distance from, I don't know why I use the red line, but if you can see that red line going from the blue rectangle where the training center is, that is the site of where the mega park is gonna be, is currently. Talking about 3 to 5 minute drive, not long and far at all. And then there's also a lot of infrastructure that's getting ready to come into place that will allow easy access in and out Donaldsonville and to and fro the training center. Next steps and timeline, working with my colleagues and the company to finalize finalize plan and training requirements, equipment, programmatic development, those two are ongoing. I talked about due diligence process to finalize the purchase of land. I believe there's an item in the agenda later today to talk about that. Planning and engineering now through December. Marketing and enrollment, we've got to start to train people this fall because it's a 2-year degree, assuming you do it in 2 years, right? And then this is another thing we got to clean up in our messaging, but I don't want to get off point, is that these folks are going to need to have some level of experience. So they're going to have to go and work for some of our contractors just to get their feet wet before they're hired right away. So we're going to recommend that people enroll this fall at the 6 campuses that you just saw on the screen. And then we try to help them get some jobs with contractors to gain the experience. So when this plant comes online in 29, they would have had at least 2-3 years of experience to go in and get some of these good paying jobs. We hope to break ground on the training center in January of 26, construction done by 27 with the grand opening spring, summer of 27. Supervisor Smith, I hope we can buckle our chin straps and get this done. And then, And then the steel construction facility starts 3rd quarter of 26, anticipated full operations of the 3rd quarter of 29. That's it in a nutshell. Happy to take any questions, have a discussion about the project.
Questions from the board? Wow. That's what I think every day when I wake up and think about that chart with the numbers on it is, wow, there's a lot of work ahead of us. But the one thing that I know for sure is there's no better team in Louisiana prepared to be able to deliver on the workforce than the group that is working on this effort. Chancellor Taylor, thank you again for the incredible work. I want to make sure that the board understands later today, you will have an item that requests that you authorize the chair and I to negotiate the terms of the CEA with Hyundai Steel. So much of what Chancellor Taylor will be doing with them throughout the day tomorrow as they meet is to talk about how to meet that schedule. Is the schedule that we've laid out correct from their perspective? I think there's a lot of conversation that goes on, a lot of details around training. And as the Chancellor mentioned, the component that we're most interested in is that portion that is proprietary to this company. Because if we get the opportunity to do proprietary training, that's going to be ongoing, long-term, more impactful than just the startup aspect. So we're excited about this one. I can tell you the folks in Ascension Parish are trying to find another stretch of river to market to someone because every single day someone is knocking on our door asking the question. As late as yesterday, we're having some of these conversations. So very proud of the work that is going on here. I can recall having had a conversation with Chair Hardy back in August and saying, Mr. Chair, I've never missed a board meeting, but I'm going to have to miss this one because there's a deal out there on the hook that we're going to want. And this was that deal. I remember watching the August board meeting from Seoul. That's not something that we do typically, but I want you to know the revolution that is going on in the state of Louisiana economically and in this country economically is something to behold. I'm proud that we get an opportunity after 25 years. If this agreement had come to pass without a community and technical college system, where would we be today? But because of the work that this board does, the work that our chancellors do, we'll have an opportunity to make sure that the people of Louisiana benefit from this one. Excited about it. Thank you, Chancellor.
I do have one question.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
First of all, congratulations. Incredible. I love your leadership. You have been amazing
Thank you.
for the past 3 years. So kudos.
you.
On this project specifically, you alluded to a lot of pushback from the community. And I want to give a little bit of pause to make sure that that is being acknowledged
Absolutely.
and the work that you're doing. Are the concerns really about health, environmental, historical challenges there? Or are they about, is this a real opportunity for us?
So I think it's more of the latter, right? Again, we can't diminish because people have lost their lives, but there's also data that shows that is that causal? Like, is it the work that's happening in these facilities that's causing that, or is it lifestyle choices? I'm not a scientist, not doctor, don't want to debate it, but I think it's the latter to your question. Is because plants have come, they've built, they've promised, but then the locals oftentimes, real or perceived, have not had the opportunities to get the good paying jobs that these plants afford to them. What I can say is because of the investments from the federal government, because of, and you've heard me talk about the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, you've heard me talk about the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, there's requirements in there that says, if you do this, then you shall. And so I believe this time around, there is a real commitment because a lot of these organizations have gotten in the sandbox and are playing in this space, and they're gonna have to show that they're doing right by the community, if that makes any sense.
If I can just share how well you all kept this under wraps and out of my earshot. Back to my having been in Hawaii, and Governor, if you're listening, I know we're being live streamed. I had a meeting with him for that Monday at noon. I was hightailing it back across the Pacific, and was told that my meeting was postponed. I said, I'm leaving Hawaii early. I said, can you tell me who trumped me? And they said, President Trump trumped you. So understand about 48 hours notice, the governor got a call that they would live stream this from the White House, which was very, very impressive, the way that was done, to have local parish president, local state representatives, the head of, Secretary Bourgeois from LED. I mean, it was just very, very impressive. Speaker of the House, all been live streamed, but I stepped into that one asking who had trumped me.
Thank you.
Thank you. One thing that I do think is important to mention here, I haven't seen a governor as actively involved in economic development as this one. And I think that's an important statement to make. Our governor is actively engaged daily in this discussion around economic development deals. And I know last night as the board was together for dinner, we had an opportunity to visit with the governor briefly. Again, he was in the room next door having conversations about economic development. Lots of opportunity here in Louisiana. I think we can anticipate seeing more of those announcements in the days ahead. All right, very quickly, we'll turn to the college updates. At North Shore Technical Community College, the college had its 2025 scholarship breakfast, awarding 74 scholarships over $89,000. Congratulations to Chancellor Carlson and his team. Also, the college has created the Kubota Tech program. It is the very first Kubota mechanic program, and so all of you guys, like me, when mine's not working, I'm going to be giving you a call, Jim, to make sure that we get that thing back up and running. Congratulations to the folks at North Shore. Also at Delgado Community College, a record enrollment for spring 2025. That number is up 17% from spring 2024. Congratulations to Chancellor Staub and the folks at Delgado. In addition, you've heard Delgado was also recognized. Their radiologic technology program was recognized as a Bellwether Award finalist. Excited and very proud of Delgado. Also, the registered nurse program, the often cited Charity School of Nursing Delgado RN program had a very successful accreditation review. No recommendations, no findings from the accrediting body. Congratulations to our folks at Delgado. In addition, at Solar CC, see, I got that one right, Chancellor Taylor, just making sure. At Solar CC, we saw a 7% increase in spring enrollment with just over 5,000 students currently enrolled. Congratulations to Chancellor and his team. In addition, at Sewella Technical Community College, we had the taste of Sewella. I really hate I missed that one, and I'm hoping the Chancellor brought us some leftovers, like there would be leftovers at Sewella, right? In that event, the college raised over $150,000 for student scholarships. Incredible event, and when you feed them, they will come, right? That's the lesson that we've learned here. Sewella also entered the design phase of the new flight training school that will be up and running. You may remember this is a partnership with Chenault, but also a partnership with the city of Lake Charles, with Lake Charles Rebound, as we saw Mayor Hunter come forward a number of months ago to talk about that initiative. Now we're seeing it come to fruition right there at Sewella Technical Community College. So congratulations to each one of you for the incredible work. With that, I'd like to transition to our board development segment. I'd like to ask, if we can, Chancellor Tenney to join us at the table. But I'd like to kind of set the table a bit, and thank you, Supervisor McConduit, for the setting the table. I think you did a very nice job of that. We know that in January of this year, the primary source of funding from the state of Louisiana was to some extent locked in at the Board of Regents, with what we know is 75 cents on the dollar going to four-year institutions, 25 cents on the dollar going to two-year colleges. If that's locked in, and that's one of our primary sources of funds, the other primary source is self-generated. We have to do a better job of managing the self-generated revenue if we know that there's going to be very little change in the state general fund portion. And so we have begun a process. Chancellors have been deeply engaged in this for several months now, working through the details of what are the elements of self-generated revenue. Yes, tuition is a piece. Yes, fees at a course level, mandatory fees. But what are the other versions of revenue that we should be looking at every single day to make sure that we are projecting revenue as well as expenditures along the way? So, Chancellor, I'd like for you to begin and just give the board a little bit of a sense of the conversation the chancellors have walked through to get us to the place we are today. I will mention before I turn it over to the chancellor, there is a policy that is on the agenda that we'll deal with in the finance section that will be referenced a number of times in this section. So, Chancellor.
Absolutely. And good morning, Chair Hardy, members of the board, President Sullivan. Thank you for the opportunity to share some important work and conversations that are happening amongst the chancellors. We've celebrated many wins this morning, and it is not lost on us that in order to continue to celebrate wins for our college, for our system, that it rests soundly on the foundational footing financially that we have at each of our institutions and for our system. I'll share that beginning in October, the chancellors came together and really began to explore and investigate what we could do to look at financial sustainability and viability for our system and our institutions moving forward. And we formed subcommittees, one of which is tuition and fees. And we started the process to look at the revenue that was coming into our colleges, expenses, and so forth. I will share that in the conversations around the tuition and fees, we looked at the fact that over the course of the last decade, under Dr. Sullivan's leadership, we've been challenged and charged with increasing revenue, decreasing expenses, and having financially sound institutions. In that same decade, our system grew to be the largest higher education system in our state. And remarkably, in that decade, we have not raised tuition. And our performance data shows that we have an increase of 75% of the number of graduates. So in the course of that work, each of our institutions, we know we are good stewards and have exhibited financial and fiduciary responsibility over our student dollars and our state dollars. And we look for efficiencies within our institutions. I'd like to share with you in terms of some of the initiatives and just operational efficiencies. On behalf of Nunez, I can share with you that we have made hard decisions. And I can share that I am truly honored with the esteemed colleagues that I work with as a group of chancellors, because we share best practices, we learn from each other, and we do make those hard decisions so that we can create that financial footing. At Nunez, we underwent an organizational restructure. When I arrived, there were 9 executive reports to the chancellor. I now have 4. Those dollars that were saved in the administrative overhead have been translated into student support service positions and financial and institutional instructional positions. On expanded partnerships for the dual enrollment, in fall of 2018, we were serving 287 dual enrollment students with our K-12 partners. In the fall of 2024, we served over 1,500. We also renegotiated those dual enrollment contracts so that we're able to receive the dollars so that we can provide quality instruction. In doing so, our dual enrollment now is 15% of our operating budget. And in 2020, where we were collecting $147,000 in dual enrollment, this year in the 2024 year, we collected $1.8 million. We created at our college a grants council so that we could explore external grants, not system rapid response and those Perkins grants that are typical, but external grant funding. That council secured 18 external grants last year for $3.1 million. We also looked at space utilization and leased space on our campus to our business and industry partners that brought in another $500,000 to our budget. So we are, I'm sharing those, knowing that our sister institutions are doing the same. We're looking internally, looking at efficiencies. When we sit down with our CFOs, we are running these campuses the way we run our homes. How much are we paying for our exterminating services, our grass cutting? What's our light bill? We know that we have a responsibility and everything is going up. So we are looking for any opportunity and in between the seat cushions and the sofa cushions to try to find the dollars so that we are able to provide the quality education that our students deserve. In the academic portion, we know that there are some opportunities to look at perhaps some differential pricing, and that is part of that policy. But we also know that on the workforce side of the house, that's where our greatest opportunity lies. On the workforce pricing, we have some flexibility in the formula to be able to deliver to our business and industry partners the training that they need. As you've heard earlier today, that becomes critical for our colleges simply because we know that the economic development and prosperity of the state is hand in glove with the workforce development that we offer to the state. The companies will come to the state, but if we can't provide the qualified skilled workers for those companies to be successful, then the companies fail and we as a state fail. So this is, we understand the gravity of the situation. We are looking for continued operational efficiencies as well as alternative revenue streams so that we can support our colleges in every way possible. And I am aware that, and it became apparent that the board did not have a tuition policy. And so that is the policy that Dr. Sullivan referenced that you all will discuss later in the finance section. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Sure, Chancellor, thank you very much. Any questions for Chancellor Tenney? Let me give you just one data point that I think really demonstrates the incredible work that these chancellors have done. 2017, we had 11 of our 12 colleges that had met the board standard, the standard that you put in place that said colleges should have 10% of their annual operating budget on hand in reserves. Today, we have 11 of the 12 colleges with more than 50% of an annual budget in reserves. Now, be aware, and Senator Mount, you probably immediately the antenna go up because there was a point in time where reserves were viewed as an opportunity for the state to sweep. What we are doing today is building reserves in a manner that allows us to plan in a direction that makes our colleges more stable. Don't miss this point. We can talk numbers all day, but the reality is if our colleges are not stable, they cannot extend a hand of stability to our students. So what we have been able to do is create stability in the face of absolute insanity when it comes to finances, changes that are on the market from enrollment. Much of this came about as a result of good management of the CARES Act funds that came down to us. In the midst of all of this, I ask you to pause for a second and ask yourself this question. How is it that the two-year colleges of the LCTCS have 11 of 12 colleges with 50% of an annual year's budget in reserves, and yet in Louisiana, we have headlines about institutions that are on the brink of failure? How did that happen? I won't cast any light toward the folks that that are in that position. But the reality is these colleges are doing exactly what they should be doing, and they're doing it in a manner that you can be proud of from a financial point of view. I'll stop there. Any questions or comments from the board? Chancellor, thank you very much. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn back to you for the action items.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Unfortunately, Supervisor Burke is not here today, so Supervisor Hollins, would you mind taking the academics?
Yes, sir. We will have the academic action items for consideration of the board. The first item is not an action item, but a accreditation update by Chancellor Spillers at Northwest. Chancellor Spillers, if you want to come down and give that update.
Great opportunity to say good things about what's going on at Northwest today, right, Chancellor? Very good.
Okay.
Welcome.
Am I on? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, good morning, Dr. Sullivan and Chair Hardy and members of the board. This is an opportunity for me today to be very excited. I know many times I've come before you and it's just progress. We've made huge progress this time. And I am going to take a little time today and really thank some members of my team. We have now crossed over the hurdle of the first accreditation visit. So we will now be recommended for candidacy in June. And so that's, thank you. That was a huge relief for me because I did tell my team, I really don't want to do a walk of shame if we don't make that. But I want to do some shout outs to my team today. If it was not for such a team of dedicated individuals, I would not be at this table with this success today. Renee Sears, who is our Vice Chancellor of Academic Student Affairs and Workforce, her team of deans, directors, coordinators have been amazing. Melanie Sotak, Vice Chancellor of Finance and Academics, and her finance team, they have just been inundated with the legislative audits continuously and just great attitudes and just soared in that. Amber Saunders, who's Director of HR, Stephen Long, Associate Vice Chancellor of Institutional Research, Sherry Butler, Institutional Effectiveness, which is a huge piece of this puzzle, Callie Dyson, our librarian, Pat Allen, Director of Facilities. Could not ask for a better team at Northwest that stood up, stepped out, and just became amazing warriors. Wendy Palermo, her team, and Bill Tulak, of course. You know how much I think of all of them and how hard they work. Poor Bill, I think I took 10 years off of his life that week of accreditation, so I apologize for that. Also, Supervisor Hall, I want to point you out because you got pulled into this as well with an interview and kind of got you there, but you really helped us out. Thank you so much for that. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not point out Chancellor Sawtelle and Heather Poole. I think they should just be the LCTCS mascot. He should be the cheerleader and all of his help, support, and guidance in that process. So we are fired up. We're ready for next steps. Those will be coming soon, I'm sure. But thank you all, members of the board, also for your support in this and cheering us on. Thank you.
Excellent. Chancellor, thank you for the update. To the members of the board, I would just simply say this has been 25 years in coming. 25 years in coming to get to 12 accredited colleges. Thank you to the group that has been instrumental in seeing this happen, from most recently Sawtelle, as well as Carlson, as well as, you know, when you see these guys helping one another, pull one another over the wall, that's what a team is about. It's a lot of fun to work with these guys. Congratulations to you. Thank you. Turn back to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. That was just for board information. There is no staff recommendation on that item. Moving to item number 2 under academic action items, staff referendum on Delgado Community College. I'll be turning it over to Ms. Blair.
Good morning, members of the board, President Sullivan, Chair Hardy. It's my pleasure to invite some of our Delgado friends to the table to talk about this item. It's always exciting to invite our students. We have SJ President Pablo Salazar and SJ Vice President for Policy, Chloe Carbo, as well.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
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 Good morning, Chair Hardy, Dr. Sullivan, and members of the board. It is indeed an honor to be with you this morning and to have student leadership with us. What you have before you is a referendum to offer $6 per credit hour for student athletes, right? To increase what we have in terms of athletic programs that are happening at the college. Delgado has seen a 58% increase in first-time freshmen under the age of 28. And they have come to us wanting to see more in terms of intramural sports and the like. And so with me today, I have Dr. Tamika Duplessis, as well as the president of SGA, Pablo Salazar, and the vice president of SGA, Chloe Carbo, who will talk to you this morning and just give you a little bit of information about how all of this came about.
Thank you so much. First, I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to Chancellor Stive. I mean, her unwavering support in this process has been absolutely tremendous. Your leadership has been instrumental in making our proposal a reality. I'm Tamika Duplessis, the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs here at Delgado Community College, and I'm honored to present the proposal that you have before you today. This proposal is driven by a desire to enhance our student experience, to foster a stronger sense of community at our institution, and it reflects our collective vision for a more engaged and well-rounded campus. Our proposal is rooted in a simple yet powerful idea. Students want more opportunities to engage in activities that support their growth, their sense of agency, and their belonging. And we, as leaders at our institution, want to ensure that those opportunities are not only available, but sustainable. As Chancellor Stive mentioned, we have heard for years that students want more engagement, they want more activities, they want to do more things on campus. And we know things like athletics, athletic activities, but student clubs, leadership programs, mentorship programs, campus-based events and activities play a crucial role in shaping the student experience and fostering a sense of community on campus. So to support their needs, we are proposing a $6 per credit hour fee with a cap at $12 per credit hour per semester. This fee, we estimate, may generate about $1.4 million annually to support athletics, but in addition to that, a wide range of student activities that will contribute to their growth, leadership, and campus engagement. This funding will not only be used to support intercollegiate athletics, but also expand our leadership programs, our student clubs, our extracurricular activities. Our goal is to help our students feel more connected to each other and our college community. So this initiative is led by our Student Government Association, who has been advocating on students' behalf for an expansion of opportunities right there on our campus. SGA will be leading an information campaign after this to discuss with our student body as a whole the referendum, its goals, its objectives, its impact. They will use a variety of different methods and media to share their details with the student body as a whole, and we hope that the vote will take place at the end of the month. In closing, I just want to emphasize that our referendum is not just about expanding athletics. It's about creating a comprehensive student experience. It's about investing in opportunities that will support the whole student. So at this time, I would like to thank you and turn it over to our SGA leadership who's joined us at the table today.
Welcome.
Is it working? Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Duplessis. One of the key words that I took from Dr. Duplessis' speech right now was belonging. I feel like this referendum is gonna, well, our main goal is to improve the sense of belonging in Delgado Community College, because not a lot of how can I put it, sense of representation is being reflected, other than from a minimum amount of students, including myself. Like, I'm very proud to be wearing the blazer of Delgado Community College. But what we're trying to do is make that grow, make that expand into all of our students, or a lot more of our students. And in our minds, one of the main things that can accomplish that is athletics, and as well as other activities. Like, we are strongly pushing and excited to have the opportunity to have a marching band. It's one of the main attractions, I would say, that our students are excited about. Also creating new opportunities for sports for men and women, everyone else to like feel more connected into like there's a school experience overall, not just like attending classes and then leaving, but also creating like a sense of actual community in Delgado Community College.
I would just like to point out, we've shared with a lot of students like this idea and we've gotten no negative feedback. Everyone's super excited about it and they think it's a great idea. So very excited to move forward with it.
Excellent. So for the members of the board, just a very quick primer on how we handle these items. This is by policy, an item coming from the student government at Delgado. So this group has already voted to bring forward a package of materials to this board. The responsibility for the board is, and the board staff, is to identify each of the elements that are listed in policy. So you heard a reference to communication. How will the communication be done? How will we communicate to students the impact and the cost, as well as the follow-up of the kinds of items that that this fee will be used to fund? So the vote by the board today is not an increase of fees at Delgado. It is simply an endorsement of the proposal from Student Government Association so that they can go forward with the election. That make sense? Okay. Any questions on that one?
Quick, so if I'm reading this correctly, it would be a maximum of $72 per semester, correct?
Correct.
And you've sought some student input on that figure already?
Yes, so they've sought student input, but we also looked at other fees across other sister institutions to making sure that we are proposing something that makes sense and affordable given this challenging climate.
And it's also very important to note that students came to us with this. So this is student-driven, not anything that's driven by administration. So it is SGA and students of the institution coming to us wanting more in terms of just intramural sports and intercollegiate activities.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for reminding me. We came up with this because we tried starting our intramurals like league per se, but we didn't have enough students that know about it. And so what we did was participated in UNO's league. We assembled a team for different sports. Actually, last week, I think it was a playoffs and I think either won or we're second place. It was intense. And so with that, we wanted more because of like the great experience that the students that actually participated had. So we wanted to get that for more students and more sports and more overall.
I love it. Yeah, I had a chance to visit the campus yesterday and just watching the students engage and things. So great job.
Very good. Questions from the board? Hearing none, I will read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board authorize the Delgado Community College Student Government Association to conduct a referendum to assess a new student athletic activity fee of $6 per credit hour with a cap of 12 hours.
Is there any conversation or comment on the recommendation? Do I hear a motion to that force and effect of the staff recommendation?
Motion by Supervisor McConduit, seconded by Supervisor Lee.
Any objections to the recommendation? Hearing none, so moved. I'll look at the chair and council. Do we need to actually take a vote or?
No, I think we're good. Just
Motion carries.
That's right. All right. Congratulations to you. Thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have review and advisement revisions to the LCTCS policy number 2.003, campus safety and hazing. Ms. Blair, turn it back over to you.
Thank you. So on Christmas Eve in 2024, we got the gift from the federal government of HR 5646, which is known as the Stop Campus Hazing Act. These revisions will amend the name of the Jean Cleary Disclosure of Campus Security Policy and Crime Statistics Act to become the Jean Cleary Campus Safety Act, much less of a mouthful for sure. Revisions to policy include expansion of definitions, inclusion of hazing incident statistics in the annual Cleary reports, and disclosure of hazing incidents in a new campus hazing transparency report. So these revisions will allow us to be in compliance with HR 5646. Questions?
I'm going to provide the staff recommendation.
Staff recommends that the board accept for review and advisement proposed revisions to LCTCS policy 2.003, campus safety and hazing.
Is there any conversation or comment on the recommendation? Hearing none, is there a motion on the staff recommendation?
So
Motion
this
by
one's review and
Supervisor.
advisements was just for
Sorry.
information.
Okay. All right, well, moving on to the next review and advisement. Review and advisement revisions to the LCTCS policy number 2.004, staff conduct and appeal procedures.
Thank you. With a rise in occurrences in possession of firearms on campus, it seemed to be necessary to amend some of our policies so that we are carrying a higher standard for campus safety. With that, staff recommends that the board accept for review and advisement proposed revisions to LCTCS policy 2.004, student conduct and appeal procedures.
Is there any comment or conversation on that agenda item? All right, moving on to the next agenda item, I believe Dr. Sullivan, review and advisement, new LCTCS policy number 2.023, tuitions and fees.
Yes. Thank you, Supervisor Holland. So this item is in reference to the information that you heard a few minutes ago as part of the board development session. We have historically not had a policy that references tuition. Instead, what we've done is each June, we have come forward to the board and requested that the board approve a policy, approve a tuition and fee schedule for that academic year. So that is typically approved in June, implemented by July 1 for the academic year. What we are bringing forward to you today is a policy that is much more oriented to the environment that we live in, because it points out each of the areas of self-generated revenue. So think about it. In the past, we have been an organization. In fact, when we started as a system in '99, we had circumstances where colleges were 80 and 90% funded by the state of Louisiana, with low teens in terms of the portion coming from tuition and fees. Today, we have just the opposite. As a result, as a board, we are proposing to you a tuition policy that identifies each of the levers that we could pull to result in additional revenue for the colleges to make sure that the mission is what it needs to be. So this is an item that is being brought to you for review and advisement. Our expectation is that this policy, assuming your approval in June, would come not only with the approval of the policy, but also would come with the 25-26 academic year tuition and fee schedule. So for the moment, this is just for review and advisement, but glad to answer any questions that you may have on the policy. All right, hearing none, I'll read the recommendation into the minutes. Staff recommends that the board accept for review and advisement the attached new LCTCS policy 2.023, tuition and fees.
Any comments on the recommendation? Hearing none. As Vice Chair of the Academics Committee, I move to suspend the rules allowing for academic items J.6 through J.9 to be considered for the action instead of review and advisement, and to be considered for action in globo. Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, academic items J.6 through J.9 will be considered for action in globo. Item number J6 is revisions to the LCTCS policy number 1.033, strategic enrollment management. Item number J7 is revisions to the LCTCS policy number 2.005, student organizations. Item number 8 is revisions to the LCTCS policy number 2.019, athletic programs. And item number J9 is revisions to the LCTCS policy number 2.020, the Title IX rights of pregnant and parenting students.
Turn me off. These changes will ensure compliance with federal and state mandates. Hearing no discussion, I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board approve the academic committee action items J6, revisions to LCTCS policy 1.033, strategic enrollment management, J7, revisions to LCTCS policy 2.005, student organizations, J8, revisions to LCTCS policy 2.019, athletic programs, and J9, revisions to LCTCS policy 2.020, the Title IX rights of pregnant and parenting students.
Is there any comments on the staff recommendation? Do I hear a motion to move the staff recommendation?
Motion by Supervisor Ardwan, seconded by Supervisor Eli.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, so moved.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Hollins. At this time, Supervisor Smith, will you present for us the facilities action items for consideration by the board?
I will do so. I got my own personal mic today, Mr. Chairman. How about this?
That's powerful.
Okay. I thought I was going to have to sing this thing, rap it for y'all, man, rap it. So we got a few facilities action items. We got Mr. Como at the table, right? So the first one is purchasing some land for South Louisiana Community College in Lafayette. You want to borrow my mic?
No, I got it. It says push. I guess I wasn't pushing the right button.
Literally going to do a mic drop at the end of this.
I will take a handheld mic any day of the week, though. So, good morning, Chair Hardy, Dr. Sullivan, members. Tough act to follow this morning. I feel like there's so many positive things going on. It's really exciting. And so much of that work moves into the space of facilities. So really excited to talk about a couple of these items today with y'all. The first one we have is a land purchase for Solus CC, the Lafayette campus. The college is proposing to acquire an office building with additional land, which is adjacent to the college entrance at the Lafayette campus. It represents the building almost 29,000 additional square feet on around 3 acres. They're limited in space to expand currently at their current location. And this, due to the metropolitan population, they do experience challenges with some of the offerings with the classroom space. So this is going to be a really good opportunity for them to continue to expand that. The purchase price still has to be negotiated, and the college is proposing to use self-generated funds to purchase the property. No questions? I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board authorize the president and the chancellor of South Louisiana Community College, Solus CC, to negotiate and execute all documents necessary to acquire a building and land in Lafayette, Louisiana. This transaction must be filed with the local clerk of court and the state land office.
Okay, so we've heard the recommendation. Yep. So do we have any, do you have a motion?
Mine went out. Motion by Supervisor Holland, seconded by Supervisor Moody.
Okay, motion and recommendation. Do we have any questions on this one? Do we have any objections? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you. Item 11 is modification of the ground lease and leasehold mortgage agreements at Fletcher Technical Community College, Shreveport campus.
Yes, sir.
That's the bellwether award-winning Fletcher Technical Community College.
That's right. And so during the 2007 meeting of the board approved construction of the Shriver campus through the LCTCS Facilities Corporation. Shriver. Yeah, I'm still new. Okay. Using
James Como, man, you ought to be able to say Shriver. Come on.
Using Act 391 funds, which included this campus. So this modification is necessary for us to be able to do work on that campus. In the 2024 regular legislative session, Fletcher was appropriated capital outlay funding to construct a precision agricultural building on the campus. That project is approximately $20 million, fully funded, actually has gone to bid for construction. So this is our sort of next step in moving that project forward. It modifies approximately 3 acres of the agreement to allow us to move forward with the construction.
I read recommendation. I did just read it.
I got it. Staff recommends that the board authorize the president and the chancellor of Fletcher Technical Community College to negotiate and execute all documents necessary to modify the ground lease and leasehold mortgage agreements at Fletcher Technical Community College Shriver campus to allow the construction of a new building at this site using capital outlay funds. The LCTCS Facilities Corporation Board must approve these agreements, and they must be filed with the local clerk of courts.
Thank you, Mr. Como. Do we hear a motion and a second?
Motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Ardoin.
Questions on this one? No questions. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, the next one is for Sewella Technical Community College. Toby?
Yes, sir. This is the College Foundation was recently provided with a $1.55 million in grant funds from the H.C. Drew Foundation and the ConocoPhillips 66 Corporation to build an addition to the process technology building on the Lake Charles campus. The ConocoPhillips Corporation previously provided $2 million in funding to assist with the construction of the current building. So this is going to allow them to create an expansion. The foundation proposes to use a local architectural firm for this project. The staff and the LCTCS staff and college staff will work closely to ensure that it's constructed in accordance with all applicable state requirements. There's no matching requirements funding, and once completed, the foundation will donate that building back to the college. Okay.
Very good. You want to read the formal recommendation, Toby?
Yes, staff recommends that the board authorize the Sewella Technical Community College Foundation to build an addition to the process technology building at Lake Charles campus, and once constructed, accept the donation of the building addition from the foundation on behalf of the college.
Okay, so we've heard the recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
Motion by Supervisor Mount, seconded by Supervisor Toops.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? Anybody want to object to ConocoPhillips and H.C. Drew making another donation to the school? Anybody want to object to that? I would not think so. That motion carries, yeah.
If I may, Mr. Chair, just very quickly, I want to point out that the 3 projects that you have just approved are all projects that come about in a way that involves investment from the community. So in one way, it might be the city of Lake Charles. It might be the ConocoPhillips and a local foundation. It might be local groups giving to Fletcher to build out precision ag related programs. Facilities happen in many different ways. What I want to make clear is that our folks have found a way around the capital outlay process to make these facilities work. Just want to point that out.
We approve item 12. Erica, did we have a vote on?
Yes, sir. It's been approved and the motion is carried.
We're on 13. So item 13 is deferred maintenance projects under Act 751 of the 2024 regular legislative session.
Yes, sir. So as you recall, last legislative session, the legislature created the Deferred Maintenance Fund, which represented investment in projects that had been to that point stalled, had to go through capital outlay, difficult to fund, but necessary for the continuance of the facility work for our students. We were authorized, I think over 70 projects were ultimately approved. 17 of those projects were funded. So there still is a difference between what's approved and what's actually funded. This request represents an addition of new projects for this current session to add to have those pre-approved should funding become available. We currently have a $75 million appropriated into the fund for the systems. we had currently in this year, our share of that was $15.6 million. So it kind of gives you an idea of what that initial investment looked like. I think proposed for this session is $100 million addition to that fund. So if that kind of proportionally works the same way, we're hopeful to get closer to $20 million for the system. So what this list represents is new projects that have been discussed with the colleges that once we get them approved through the JLCB process are able to be funded. It does not move any other prior projects that didn't have funding off the list. It just positions us to be able to capitalize should funding become available.
Okay, you're going to read the recommendation?
Staff recommends that the board approve the attached new list of deferred maintenance projects to be completed with funds appropriated by Act 751 of the 2024 regular legislative session and authorize the president to allocate funding for the projects if additional funds are approved during the 2025 regular legislative session.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation. Do we hear a motion in a second?
Motion by Supervisor Ardwan, seconded by Supervisor Hollins.
A motion in a second. Does anybody have any questions on this item before we vote?
Yes, I do. Is it too late to add anything to the list, or is it?
Yeah, so I would say no. I mean, this is us internally determining what we are going to put forward. The process is essentially college proposes a project, board approves the project, it goes to the Division of Administration through the Facility and Planning Division, ultimately approved by the Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget. So there is time. We will be discussing these projects, I believe, at the April JLCB meeting. So there is still time to get projects added.
Supervisor Hall, there's an opportunity to add projects really for a couple of reasons. The most, I think, the most forward-thinking aspect, I think, of this entire effort is that it allows for those projects that you don't even know you need yet. For instance, finding mold in a given location or having a leak in a roof somewhere that happens to us that requires us then to have to move that project higher than others. That's the beauty of this effort, is that it allows us to be able to move those projects upwards without taking others off the list. Because in the past, we would have to put a project on and take a project off.
Kind of like
Can
a
be
priority list, yeah.
Exactly, that's right.
Thank you.
Supervisor Hall?
Yes, that's it.
Any other questions from any board members? Does anybody have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, that motion carries, and that completes the facilities section, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Smith. Supervisor Lee, will you present the finance action items for consideration by the board?
Yes, thank you, Chair Hardy. The first item is agenda item number 14, and this is just for review and advisement. This is includes revisions to LCTCS policy number 5.028 regarding identity theft protection program.
Good morning, Chair Hardy, President Sullivan, members of the board. My name is Renita Ward-Williams, and I'll present the next two items. Well, the policy before you was originally written and adopted in 2009, and a lot has changed since then, obviously. From an organizational perspective, we've obviously changed. We've seen significant organizational changes, including the implementation of Banner. As you all know, Banner is the platform or the centralized system that supports our administrative and student operational tasks. Additionally, our tools for identifying and mitigating fraud or identity theft have become more robust or are more robust. To that end, the amendments presented or the amendment before you are to align our policy with our current practices, as well as to recognize the technological advancements we've made since 2009. And if there are no questions, I'll read the recommendation.
Thank you. Please read the recommendation.
Okay, staff recommends that the board accept for review and advisement proposed revisions to the attached LCTCS policy 5.028 Identity Theft Prevention Program.
Are there any questions? All right, since this is just for review and advisement, we'll move on to the next agenda item, number 15. This is amendment to professional services contract between LCTCS Board of Supervisors and Long Law Firm, LLP, and Ms. Williams will also present information on that.
Okay. Well, the board originally approved or entered into a limited scope, one-year contract with the Long Law Firm LLC. The contract was for $7,500 and it was effective October 14, 2024. We entered into that contract after receiving notification from Phelps Dunbar of conflicts of interest with two of its existing clients. That we've come to realize that the contract amount isn't enough to handle ongoing litigation. Accordingly, we're requesting to add money to the contract. If there are any questions, I'll entertain those now. If not, I'll read the recommendation.
Questions? All right, Ms. Wins, will you read the recommendation?
Okay, staff recommends that the board approve an amendment to add $12,000 to the existing legal services contract with Long Law Firm LLP for the period from October 14, 2024 to October 13, 2025. The proposed amendment will raise the total contract amount to $19,500. The contract amendment, of course, is subject to approval by the Office of the Attorney General and the Office of General Counsel.
All right, hearing staff recommendation, I'd entertain a motion to approve that recommendation.
Motion by Supervisor Mount, seconded by Supervisor McConduit.
All right, is there any discussion or questions? Any objection? Motion carries. Moving on to the next agenda item, number 16, is the professional services contract between LCTCS and Deloitte Consulting LLP, and Mr. Toby Como will present that.
If I may, just a very quick update for you. I think I've shared with the board on a number of occasions that we all anticipate, you've read in the papers as well as I have, that the state of Louisiana will go through much of what all the states will go through, and that is a reduction in revenue coming from the federal government. We are working through the details of understanding what that impact looks like. This contract is an opportunity for a partner to come in and conduct an analysis for us to try to get some direction on how we can go to that next level in terms of efficiency. You've heard chancellors talk about it at the table. From a systemic perspective, we believe there's an opportunity here for us to generate some savings. This is a contract that will allow us to be able to kind of have a game plan beginning July 1 for what we plan to do in the upcoming year. Toby, anything to add to that or good?
Nope.
Okay. Very good.
What is staff's recommendation on that item?
Staff recommends that the board authorize the system president to execute a contract between the LCTCS and Deloitte Consulting LLP for a financial health and efficiency assessment effective May 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. This contract is subject to the approval of the Office of State Procurement.
All right, at this time, I'd request a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Supervisor Hogan, seconded by Supervisor Ardoin.
All right, are there any questions or comments?
Question. Do we have any idea of what we think this might cost?
Yeah, so the total for the contract is $195,000 for the entirety of that contract.
That is an up to number. And what we anticipate is that there are phases of this that I'll give you one example. You heard Renita mention a minute ago, Banner. There are multiple ways that, as you may know, 12 colleges operating in a single system, helping us to be able to be on the same page about processes. Financial aid, as we know, has the same set of processes or same set of rules everywhere, but not the same processes. This will allow us then to be able to go into another round of sort of structured policy and process that allows us to have better training across colleges, but also maximize the amount of financial aid award. Because if we're talking self-generated revenue, much of it's coming from financial aid. So this will be an opportunity to drive more revenue in addition to reducing expenditures.
Supervisor, are there any objections to this motion? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Item number 17 is the agenda item that was alluded to earlier. That is the cooperative endeavor agreement between the LCTCS Board of Supervisors and the LCTCS Facilities Corporation, Louisiana Economic Development, and Hyundai Steel Company. And Mr. Como will give us some information on that as well.
So this is a little bit of the paperwork of what we talked about earlier. And just to kind of reiterate a couple things Chancellor Taylor talked about earlier, there's really two key deliverables here in this agreement. One being the construction of the training facility, and two being the providing of the targeted training capacity as part of that work. So this agreement formalizes that. It allows us to move forward. A couple things I do want to point out is the facility that we talked about. It is a $32 million facility. That number, we said between 30 and 35, we kind of settled on 32. Being added to the capital outlay budget bill as we're speaking right now. We're anxiously waiting for that to be filed. But the design phase basically starts right now in conjunction with LED and the Facility Corporation Hyundai Steel. So this agreement lets us get started much quicker to ensure that ultimate construction timeline to be completed in April of 2027.
Toby, before you read the recommendation, I think it's important that the board is aware that capital outlay is a process that plays out annually in the legislature. The funds from that capital outlay process are not available until July 1. We find ourselves in a place, you saw the timeline from Chancellor Taylor a few minutes ago. We have a very tight timeline on the project for Hyundai Steel. As such, we made the decision and are asking you for your approval to front load some of the dollars, $1 million from River Parishes Community College out of its own self-generated funds, $3 million from the board office to front fund the engineering and architectural services to make sure that this project gets off and running. And we don't find ourselves in November, rainy season, right? Trying to do architectural and engineering or trying to get ourselves out on this site. So we believe this 3 months is actually going to buy us about 5 months in terms of the project in total. And we wanted to make sure that the board was fully aware of the advance dollar that is being placed in the project. The entire $4 million will be reimbursed from the project. $1 million to the college, $3 million back to the board office. Toby, you want to read the recommendation?
Staff recommends that the board authorize the board chair and system president to negotiate terms of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the LCTCS Board of Supervisors on behalf of the system and River Parishes Community College, the LCTCS Facilities Corporation, Louisiana Economic Development, and Hyundai Steel Company, and approve the seed funding investment by the LCTCS Board Office and RPCC of up to $4 million to include training commitments for the establishment and development of a Donaldsonville Workforce Training Center, which will be managed and constructed through the LCTCS Facilities Corporation.
Thank you, Toby. At this time, I'd request a motion to accept the staff recommendation.
Motion by Supervisor Hall, seconded by Supervisor Johnson.
All right, are there any questions or discussion? Any objections? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Renita and Toby, for your information today. Chair Hardy, that concludes the finance items.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. At this time, I will present the personnel action items for consideration by the board. And I also request a motion to enter into executive session to discuss items J.18 through J.20.
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Motion by Johnson, seconded by McConnell.
If there's no discussion, I will ask Ms. Poole to take a roll call vote to enter into executive session.
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to. Chair Hardy?
Yes.
Okay. Supervisor Smith? Yes. Supervisor Toops?
Yes.
Supervisor Hall? Supervisor Hogan? Supervisor Hollins?
Yes.
Supervisor Johnson? Supervisor Lee?
Yes.
Supervisor McConduit? Supervisor Moody?
Yes.
Supervisor Mount?
Yes.
Supervisor Salath? Supervisor Ardwa? Supervisor Eli?
Yes.
You have all in favor, yes.
I think we will now enter into executive session. I got it. I just want to- At this time, Ms. Poole, can you call the roll to reestablish quorum?
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to. Chair Hardy,
Here?
Supervisor Smith,
Here.
Supervisor Toops,
Here.
here, Supervisor Hall, here, Supervisor Hogan, here, Supervisor Hollins,
Here.
here, Supervisor Johnson, here, Supervisor Lee, here, Supervisor McConduit, here, Supervisor Moody, here, Supervisor Mount, here, Supervisor Salat, Supervisor Adwan, here, Supervisor Eli, here. At this time, Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Poole.
You're
At this time, I will continue to present the personnel action items for consideration by the board. First, pending and potential litigation or settlement authority.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, we have nothing to report on pending and potential litigation.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Next is ratification of appointment of interim chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends the board ratify the appointment of Dr. Wendy Palermo as the interim chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College effective March 31st, 2025, until such time as a permanent chancellor assumes the position, but no later than July 30th, 2025. The appointment will provide an annual base salary of $170,773.25.
Do I have a motion?
Motion by Supervisor Eli, seconded by Supervisor Ardwin.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Or are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries. A bid. Congratulations to Dr. Palermo. Next, appointment of Chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, after an extensive national search for the next leader of Louisiana Delta Community College, staff recommends the board appoint Dr. Justin Hoggard as Chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College with an employment contract effective July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2028. Staff further recommends a fair and equitable chancellor package consisting of an annual base salary of $205,000, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500, a civic organizations allowance of $2,500, and an employer-sponsored deferred compensation package of $20,000 for a total package of $260,000.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
Okay, motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Eli.
Is there any discussion? Or are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries. A big congratulations to Dr. Haggard.
I know that Dr. Hoggard is watching online. I want to congratulate he and his family and look forward to getting him into Louisiana and on the ground come July 1. Excited.
Again, congratulations, Dr. Haggard. Next is revisions to LCTCS policy number 6.025.
Yes, sir. This is, if you recall, this is a policy we brought at the last meeting for review and advisement for approval today that made changes to the policy to address dual employment issues with board memberships in other higher education institutes.
You provide the recommendation.
Staff recommends that the board approve the revisions to LCTCS policy number 6.025 Code of Conduct.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
Motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Mount.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Or are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries. At this time, Dr. Sullivan, you had something?
No, sir.
Okay, this time we, unfortunately, Supervisor Price is absent, so in his stead, I will handle the next item. As chair of the Personnel Committee, I move to suspend the rules allowing for personnel items J.22 through J.24 to be considered for action instead of the review and advisement to be considered for action in Globo. Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, academic items J.22 through J.24 will be considered for action in Globo. I will read them. The first is 22. Review and advisement, revisions of LCTCS policy number 6.010, unclassified staff performance evaluation. 23, review and advisement, revisions to LCTCS policy number 6.011, prohibitions and prevention of discrimination, harassment and retaliation. And 24, review and advisement, revisions in LCTCS policy number 6.032, policy on the recruitment and hiring process. Do I have the recommendations?
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the board approve the Personnel Committee action items J.22, revisions to LCTCS policy 6.010, unclassified staff performance. J.23, revisions to LCTCS policy number 6.011, prohibition and prevention of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. And J.24, revisions to LCTCS policy number 6.032, policy on the recruitment and hiring process.
You have further recommendations, items to have been presented in globo. Do I have a motion?
Motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Ardoin.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Or are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries in globo. Next, I'd like to reference the updates and encourage board members to review the information provided. And I ask if there's any additional business to come before the board. I'd like to at this time make some following announcements. There are none. Board members, this is a reminder that your annual Tier 1 2.2 disclosures are due again by May 15th. The annual mandatory LCTCS board training schedule for 2025 was sent out to all board members via email. The first set of training is due May 2nd. Please let Erica know if you need further assistance. Please join us for the LCTCS legislative reception on April 23rd from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Lieutenant Governor's apartment at the barracks. LCTCS Day at the Capitol will be on April 24th. Please mark your calendars at the Capitol Rotunda from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please RSVP to Erica. And we will not have a May Board of Supervisors meeting. The next board meeting will take place on June 11th.
Chair Hardy, I would like to make a note that we have not received any public comment for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
Pardon my apologies.
I request a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion by Supervisor Toops, seconded by Supervisor Johnson.
The meeting is adjourned.